In this lesson, we'll be discussing some important terms that you need to know about this process of contacting suppliers. The first of these terms is FOB, which refers to freight on board, and this basically means that the cost of delivering the goods to the nearest port, for example in China, is included. Okay, so the supplier is basically taking care of the cost of getting the inventory, for example, from their factory or their warehouse to the port or to wherever they're sending off the inventory from. So that's covered by them. But you, as the buyer, are responsible for the shipping from there and all other fees associated with getting the goods to your country or to the final address or the destination. Okay, so in simple terms, this basically means that the FOB price does not include the shipping cost. This is very important because you'll see the FOB price on listings on Alibaba when you're looking for suppliers for your product. It's very important that you understand that that FOB price does not include the shipping cost. Okay, the shipping cost you have to request from the supplier, and you have to add that unit shipping cost to the FOB unit price to get the total cost or the total unit cost of the product from that supplier. Okay. The second term that you need to know with regards to price or cost is CIF, cost, insurance, and freight. This price includes shipping charges and insurance to deliver the goods to your nearest port, but you are responsible for that shipment from that point onwards. Okay, so it's basically taking into account the shipping from the port in, let's say, China to the port in the US, but you still have to cover the costs from the port to the final destination. So the costs that are on you are much less. Okay, so the CIF price is likely much higher than the FOB price because it includes the shipping charges and insurance to deliver the goods to your port. Okay, so the supplier takes care of all of that, but you are responsible for that shipment from that point onwards. Between these two, I would definitely recommend FOB, and that's typically what you'll find anyway from suppliers. It's just important that you know, if you ever do see the term CIF, what it actually means. But definitely, anytime you're ordering from a supplier in China or anywhere internationally, I recommend going with the FOB price. Okay. The third term that you need to know is MOQ, minimum order quantity. You'll see this all over the place. It's a bit self-explanatory, but basically it means that this is the lowest quantity of a certain product that a supplier is willing to sell. Okay, and this fortunately is almost always negotiable. So don't worry that sometimes suppliers say, oh, our MOQ is 3,000 units, our MOQ is 1,000 units, meaning they won't sell to you or they won't provide you, with inventory if you order less, okay? That you have to order at least that much. It's almost always negotiable. They just put those big amounts, sometimes for whatever reason. Just know that they're almost always negotiable. So you don't necessarily have to worry about whatever MOQ shows up, let's say on Alibaba.com, okay? The next important term that you need to know is lead time. And lead time is different to the supplier, and lead time is different when it comes to you. Okay, so what I mean is that to the supplier, if you ask them, hey, what's the lead time for this, then they'll say what they interpret that as is the production time. And so they'll say, okay, you know what? The production time or the lead time, which is synonymous to them, is 14 days. To you as the buyer, to you as the person, the business owner, it should mean much more than only production time because you understand, right, that you need to take into account other parts of the process, not just production. So you need to take into account not only production time, but also shipping time and also delivery and processing time. So whereas lead time to the supplier is only 14 days, for you, it's, let's say, 14 days for production, 5 days for shipping, and maybe 10 days for delivery and processing. Okay. Now again, these are very just, like estimates or just random numbers. But again, the point is that to you, the lead time will always be longer than the lead time to the supplier because lead time to the supplier only means production. That's all they're worried about, but you have a lot more to worry about. So your lead time, when you're thinking about it, should include all of these different things. So those are the four most important terms that you need to know about this process. I'm not even going to put the full versions of these names. If you were paying attention, then you should know what these are. FOB, CIF, MOQ, and finally lead time. And now that you know what they mean, let's get into contacting suppliers.